Most married couples don't set out to hurt each other with words. Yet, there's one conversational mistake that destroys emotional safety in marriage. And many couples don't even realize they're making it.
After 34 years of marriage, we've seen this mistake in our own relationship and in the relationships of countless couples that we've walked alongside.
The heartbreaking part is that it often happens when you're trying to help, explain, or solve a problem. In this video, we're going to show you what this mistake is, why it creates distance instead of connection, and 3 simple shifts that can help restore connection and emotional safety in your conversations. Let's dive in. Our verse today is Proverbs 18:13. Says, "He who answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame to him." This verse describes so many marriage conversations. We stop listening before understanding. Point number 1, we assume instead of clarify. Teresa, let's just discuss why assumptions are often disguised as certainty. No, you know your spouse so well. You know your spouse better than you know any other person in the world. And sometimes it's easy to jump to conclusions or jump to the end before you listen to the full conversation. And once you start thinking about your response, you really stop listening to your spouse.
Yes, it's easy to assume when you don't have all the information. Like you said, you're thinking you know your spouse inside and out, and you just know what they mean or you know what they're trying to say. But we're not the same people after years of marriage and after decades of marriage. You are changing. You are growing closer. You are not who you were when you first got married. You've been through some things together. Yes, of course, you know each other through those things, but to assume you know what your spouse is saying, you really can come to the wrong conclusion.
Assumptions can create misunderstanding and hurt feelings. And we really don't want that to happen in our marriages, do we, Teresa?
No, you really
We want to
don't.
keep connection close in your marriage, because your marriage has to be a place, a safe place where you can go to your spouse and be able to express your viewpoint, your concerns, your feelings without being rejected, without being dismissed. We got a simple, clarifying question. When you're having a discussion with your spouse and it's not going well, or it's heavy, here is a very simple, clarifying question. It is, when you said that, what did you mean? So
That's right.
that invites your spouse to help explain it so that you can understand it. If you don't just assume you know what they meant. If you don't know what they meant, you need to ask your spouse. And it's okay to ask your spouse, when you said that, what did you mean? They may not have meant what you assumed they meant. And when you assume, that's when hurt feelings can occur. Teresa?
That's so good. That's right.
And clarification prevents conflict. We want everything clear and be able to say, and be able to ask your spouse, what do you mean by that? Can you help me understand what you're saying? Can you help me understand what you're feeling? And
Yes.
and that really helps a lot, doesn't it, Teresa?
I think that works both ways, but sometimes we're trying to get something out because we're upset or because we're excited about it or whatever the emotions are going on. So that kind of tones things down enough where you can hear clearly and listen to each other without so much emotion, making it cloudy and a little harder to tell what your spouse really is trying to communicate.
Mistake number 2, we listen to react or respond instead of listening to understand. Teresa, there is a big difference between hearing words and understanding hearts.
Wow.
So
true.
your goal is to understand the heart of your spouse. And they may use words that will trigger a reaction from you unintentionally. Maybe it's some word that or terms, or you have a feeling that you had before in the past in a hurtful situation, a hurtful relationship, and this feels like you're assuming that this is just this, your spouse is acting just like this other person.
Oh, yes.
When once you stop listening and you're thinking about what you're going to say back, then you miss half the conversation. You miss listening to the heart of your spouse.
That's right. That's so important to know that, like you said, there are trigger words that can set your spouse off, and they'll have an emotional reaction and then, of course, want to say something to defend themselves or say something like, that's not right. That just makes both people stop listening. It just kind of shuts things down, doesn't it, Jeff?
Because if you're thinking about, I'm gonna tell her this when she stops, and you're just thinking about, okay, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say that. That is destroys the connection. You're not having a connection moment, are you?
No, that's not connecting.
It's not connecting at all. That's being a courtroom, and you're pointing or debate, point and counterpoint. We don't want that kind of situation. We don't want that kind of conversation. We want to be able to where you are able to express your heart, and you're able to find out exactly what your spouse means, what is the heart behind their words, and to get to the situation and bring healing to your relationship.
That's so
Right, Teresa?
good. Yes, especially if misunderstanding has been happening about this topic or whatever kind of conversation you're having. I love that. God did design marriage so we could help each other heal if it's coming up from something that they experienced in the past, or if it's just something that's happened during your married life and you don't want to keep going around the same cycle of misunderstanding and hurt and getting back into that same ditch again. Yeah.
James 1:19 gives us a practical listening framework that slows the conversation down. James tells us, be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. So sometimes you just need to say, we need to slow this conversation down. We might even need to take a break, pray about it. Each of you pray and ask the Lord for guidance. Each of you saying, Lord, am I wrong? Or am I presenting this wrong? Or am I hearing this wrong?
Yes.
Help me with your wisdom. And because God's orders matters. Because you want to be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. So sometimes you say, calm down, slow it down, and bring things to a halt. So we have a free resource for you. It's called Lonely to Best Friends Again. It's a 7-day devotional where you go from today, you can go from today to best friends again with your spouse in 7 days. Mistake number 3, Teresa, defensiveness destroys safety. So when you get defensive, you put your shields up, your armor on.
Yes.
When you do that, you're covering your heart and you're not able to listen with your heart because you're defensive. And when you feel defensive and you really are protecting yourself, you're not trying to understand your spouse. And,
Exactly.
That's true with me. If I heard Teresa saying something that was any kind of negative thing towards me, I took that as I'm failing you. And so, but it's not her intention at all to tell me I'm failing her. I failed. She's just bringing up a concern. So we need to take the time to listen to each other and understand the heart behind each other. It's also important to use the right words.
Yes.
Don't say you never or you always. And just be gentle with our words.
Yes, that's so
and
true.
gentle with our tongues. Husbands, your wife has enough sharp tongues in her life. She doesn't need another one. Ladies, your husband has enough sharp tongues in his life. He doesn't need another one. He needs soft. We both need soft conversations. Teresa?
Yes, it's just a way to be, like you said, be gentle with each other. You would do that with a child, so why would you not give the same consideration to your spouse? Be considerate, be kind.
Some common defensive responses that some couples don't even recognize. That's not true. No, I didn't. That's not what I meant. And those are defensive responses. And it really is you're just you're covering yourself up, and now you're going to stop hearing,
Yes.
and the connection is going to suffer.
Yes, that's so true. I don't think you can hear correctly when you're defensive. It's like all these filters are going up that you're hearing through. Like when you see things through a filter, and you could be completely wrong because you're putting a filter in front of your eyes based on previous experience or based on what you heard someone say about something. Same thing can happen with your hearing. You're hearing with filters when you're defensive. It's not really going to hear things correctly.
So you have to replace that defensiveness with curiosity and ownership. So if your spouse comes to you with something, you need to own up to it and ask and continue to ask them questions. How did that make you feel? What were you thinking when this happened? Just keep it going. Point number 4, validation is not agreement. So it's so important to try to understand where your spouse is coming from. That's validation. So it's one of the misunderstood concepts in marriage. It's not you're not negotiating a contract here. You're not high stakes battle over something where you can't give an inch.
Exactly.
Well, it really is. And Teresa said this before, your mother may have told you walk a mile in their shoes, is try to see the viewpoint, their viewpoint from where they're standing.
And like you said, people do need validation. It doesn't mean that you're saying what they're experiencing is right or wrong. You're just saying, I hear you. I understand that you're feeling this and you're thinking this way. And all right, I'm ready to listen to what you want to share so we can talk this out, so we can work out something together.
And so many couples fear that if they express validation words that somehow they're syringes that mean.
No.
What it's saying is it really helps the connection continue because you're saying, I understand why you feel hurt.
Yes.
I understand why you feel that way.
Exactly.
And it keeps the connection going. You're repairing the connection as you go. Jesus often expressed compassion before correction. So it doesn't mean you're approving their behavior or that you completely agree with their viewpoint, but you're just making a connection there. I understand why you feel this way. Point number 5, curiosity creates connection. Curiosity keeps the conversation open. What you want to do, what you never want to do is stop the conversation. Curiosity is like the antidote to assumption and defensiveness, where you ask questions.
That's right.
So it's questions that invite understanding rather than conflict. So
that's so good.
And when you're talking to your spouse and they say, tell me more, but it's doing, you're inviting them to come closer. You're letting them know they're in an emotionally safe environment because you're not going to reject them. You're not going to dismiss them. You're not going to tell them they're silly. And you're not going to call them baby or babyish, a baby in a bad way, you baby. No, not in a bad way. But you're saying things like, tell me more. How did that affect you? What were you feeling? What do you need from me? And that just changes everything.
Changes everything.
You change the whole environment. Now, you're two people working together, and you'll get to a solution. You'll get to a solution. And you'll get there a lot faster than being, no, I didn't. That's not what I meant. You're wrong. But tell me more. Tell me how that made you feel. What can I do to help? Those curiosity communicates value. If today's video helped you recognize even one communication mistake that's creating distance in your marriage, do us a favor, hit the like button, and help us reach more couples who are trying to build a stronger, healthier marriage. And we would love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 5 communication mistakes caused the most damage to emotional safety in marriage? Remember, emotional safety is not built through perfect communication. It's built through consistent understanding, curiosity, and connection. If you like a list of practical steps you can start using immediately, check out our next video called How to Create Emotional Safety in Your Marriage Starting Today. And remember, God designed husband and wife to be friends for life.